I'm Wilf Nichols, your host of Homegrown, a show all about gardening right here in Newfoundland and Labrador. On this week's show, we're going to begin by visiting two gardeners in the community of Rocky Harbour. Anne Marceau and Michael Brzezinski will show us around their unique and innovative garden. I'll take you on a tour of the Provincial Agri-Foods experimental farm out in Pinsbrook, where a large variety of strains of partridge berries and cranberries are being cultivated for possible commercial introduction. Dr. Peggy Dixon loves ladybugs, and she's going to tell us why they make such a great asset in the garden. Debbie Preston and Tim Murray are back, with Debbie advising Tim all about companion planting and how to go about it. So stay tuned and we'll be right back after these short messages. Welcome back. It's a beautiful afternoon in Rocky Harbour and I'm in an amazing garden. This is the garden of Anne Marceau and Michael Brzezinski. Hi guys, how you doing?
Hi there. Just fine.
Wow, this is super. I mean, not only have you got an incredible garden, it's full of very interesting plants. How long have you been working on this place?
Well, we started when we moved in about 15 years ago.
Right.
And every year we've added another bed or enlarged a bed. It's the sort of thing that you kind of evaluate it as you see it developing and do what it needs.
And so you have independent jobs in this garden?
Somewhat. I tend to do the heavy digging and moving and lifting and constructing, and Anne does a lot of the rearranging of plants. I'll put things in just to get them in the ground, and I will move them to a better location, shorter at the front, larger at the back. And
I mean, the pattern takes on a different, when you see things develop and then you change things around. Yeah.
Yes.
But there's some wonderful plants. Let's have a look at this. There's this is a Thalictrum, I think. What? I can't
or meadow rue.
Right. Because Newfoundland Labrador has some native species of Thalictrum, but they're white. This must be one of the Asian ones.
Yeah, this is one that we started with just a single plant, and it sort of volunteers itself throughout the garden. But we don't really see it as being a weed because it's so delicate.
Yes.
But even if it's in the front of the bed,
it's essentially transparent. It's like a fog.
Yeah. Oh, it's perfect. Mm-hmm. And then I've seen a plant over there that I haven't seen that one since I left BC, and it's a clematis, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Yeah, clematis stands.
That is beautiful. And this, I think, is one of those scented clematis, aren't they?
Aren't certainly as showy as some of the larger ones.
Yes.
But
sort of the hyacinth of the clematis family.
It is. So, where do you get plants like this in Newfoundland and Labrador? Because these are not very readily available.
Exactly. Most of these have been purchased on the west coast in different nurseries. There are a number of really good nurseries around here, and they tend to have a pretty good selection in the early part of the year. We also order a lot by mail order, and anytime we're away, we try to fill a suitcase with bits and pieces from different places that we visit. So it works out really well.
It's great because
one of the advantages, I think, of buying things in some of the local nurseries is that you actually get to see the plants, and it's both learning for us because we can ask how they've done, or if they've never tried them before, then we can give them information back.
Right.
And we find that then gets passed on, to people who come in to buy the next year. They can say, well, they're growing it up in Rocky Harbour.
Right.
And that might encourage people to try it.
But there's lots to see. Let's go over here. We've got a whole area. This is another scented plant here. This one is
Mirabilis dilata,
Mirabilis.
or 4 o'clock. It's not quite on time right now, but the scent is starting to starting to come out. What's nice about this back area is that when we come home from work at the end of the day, we can enjoy a lot of the plants here that are scented.
Right.
When we have the time to
Beautiful.
to linger, to work
'Cause
in the
this-
garden.
Here's another scented one. This is heliotrope.
Yes.
Heliotrope. Gorgeous plant.
And
Wow.
there's enough in the way of trees around the garden that it keeps the air fairly still in here, so the scents do linger. We
Right.
have night-scented stocks and things like that, and it's very pleasant when the fragrance just sort of wafting around the garden.
I bet. Oh, there's a lot of thought going into here. There's fennel. Is this fennel?
That's the purple
Yeah, that's
fennel.
the purple fennel.
And
Yeah.
Love
this
that.
is the one that kids love to chew on.
Yeah.
It's so sweet and so licorice flavored. The stems are great. There are a number of plants like that you just grab a chunk of as we walk by and chew on it as we're working the garden.
Tell us about this interesting arbor here. Yeah.
Oh, these are
Now,
Michael's.
did you make this?
This is a plumber's nightmare. This is it's just made out of copper pipe because it's so easy to work and it's so available.
Right.
I've been making a number of different arbors just to hold vines up to make the garden a little bit more vertical because
Yeah. Because that's
without
the
that
important
it's
thing,
very
right?
flat.
Is the garden does need vertical elements, and
That's
you don't
right.
really want to introduce trees right into the central area. Partly because we have a cat that likes to run around, and we really want as much sun as we possibly
Right.
possibly can get.
So go
But
up.
yeah.
Yeah. And there's these old-fashioned sweet peas here.
Yes, the sweet peas are a bit slow this year. Usually they're right up to the top by
Yeah,
this
they've
time of
just
year.
been opening
But,
up this
it's
last
been a very slow year.
week.
And they're again
Oh, this
wonderful
one
for
is
fragrance.
amazing scent though.
That's one of the very
it's
old
such a
varieties.
heavy scent.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
And then we have the morning glories and another clematis on the other side. So it's there's always something in flower. And
There's so much to look at. Let's go down the other end of the garden because there's another arbor down there with another interesting plant up. Okay, let's go down. Beautiful. Now, that's that potentilla, Pink Beauty.
Pink Beauty,
right? That's out of Manitoba, and it's a beautiful plant. It's doing very
It's
well
done
for
very
you.
very well here.
Yeah, that's
We have a
great.
number of those scattered around. around
But
the place.
down here, this is another one of Michael's plumbing
nightmares.
experiments. But it's
multi-purpose.
it's looking great. I mean, it's artistic, but what I love about this, it's using edible plants as ornamentals, and this is the scarlet runner bean.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we have beautiful red flowers in the early part of the summer, and then just about this time of the year, they're starting to
Just in
starting
front of
to
the
develop
window.
into beans. Yeah,
That's
but we'll
great.
have beans well into October from this.
Wow, good going. This is super. And what do we got here?
This is
Primula
one of
florendi, one of the late flowering primroses.
Right, because we always think of primroses as being rather early or midsummer. They're all over, but this one is very late. And
and it's scented.
This is scented,
I
right?
think.
Yeah, I thought so.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's wonderful. This is
Yeah,
another one,
Another little one there, Primula capitata.
right?
Unfortunately, both sort of reaching the end of their flowering period, but they've been
Yeah, they were
really
going
great
through,
while they're around.
Yeah.
late July, early August.
Oh, the more you spend time here, the more you see it. Now I just caught a glimpse of a whole bunch of gentians over here. That's a nice looking plant.
Yeah, that's one that we grew from seed, and every
Did you?
year it's been getting a little bit bigger and a little bit bigger, and now it really has quite a presence in the garden.
Wow.
Slow,
Beautiful.
so a bit of an
Beautiful.
exercise in patience. But
Yes, well, gentians
some things are
usually
worth
are.
waiting for.
They are, they are. Boy, this is such a good garden. Thank you so much for showing me around. Ooh.
Oh, you're
ooh,
very
can I have
welcome.
a
Why
pea?
don't- Yes.
Thank
Some
you.
Edible
Wow.
potted peas here.
This is great. Thanks. We'll be right back. Welcome back. When settlers first came here from Europe, they probably brought with them quite a few food plants and certainly some food animals. But it was probably not too long before they realized that this place is covered in very nutritious berries. And everybody, I expect, from Nain to to St. Shots, from Cape Spear to Labrador City have probably collected blueberries and other native berries. They are beautiful and they are nutritious. So, can some of our native berries become a homegrown industry here? Certainly we collect them, but is there a possibility for cultivating them and possibly turning them into exports? Well, this is what this area is all about. I'm at the Provincial Agri-Food Station at Pinns Brook, which is near Deer Lake, and here is a trial site for partridge berries. A lot of people in the world call them lingonberries, and lingonberries or partridge berries, same plant, grows right the way across the northern hemisphere, northern Russia, northern Canada, northern Europe. And here are a lot of selections from over Europe to see if any of these do better than other ones that are native to this province. And it's amazing, same species, a lot of variation. Just like you watching this program are all the same species, but if you look at each other, there are characteristics that make you different from one another. Exactly the same with plants. And so look at all these different selections and look at their different levels of production. There's one right here that isn't even ripe yet. Look at this one. All the berries are still yellow, they're a long way away from ripe. But look at that compared to this one where the ripening process is almost complete. A great crop on this one, a poor crop on that one, or maybe if frost doesn't come too soon, we'll get a crop of that one. But then look at this one. This is another selection, but we've got a lot of dieback on this, and I don't see that being a very good plant for the future. And then the last one I'll show you is this one, which is a much lower plant, which is pretty good, but there's very little fruit production at all. And so we see that exactly the same species will have different individuals having different characteristics. And so this trialing is all about trying to select the right cultivar or the right variety for the right spot. And with a bit of luck, in times to come, either a native or a European selection of lingonberry or partridge berry will be grown by some of the farmers. Now this is a plant that's native to the barrens of Newfoundland and Labrador. But there are lots of other berry plants like blueberries and one plant that you'll find on bogs called the cranberry. And the Pinns Brook Station is doing work with the cranberry as well, but they're not doing that here, they're doing that down on a bog. So let's go see that. Black spruce trees, larch, we got the white bottle brush everywhere. I've got to watch out that don't fall in the water. Obviously, we're in a bog. And here at the Pinns Brook Station is the cranberry trials. What we've done here is we've got sand sitting on top of peat moss, which is exactly the sort of conditions that cranberries want. Again, various trials of cranberries, various selections of cranberries to see which one would be best for this area. Environmental data being recorded, be it moisture, temperature, humidity, etc. And the cranberries are beginning to ripen. This looks like a pretty good crop right here. It's still ripening because they take quite a long time to ripen. There was a little bit of dieback, but the regrowth has been really good. Another one of those great berries. We eat a lot of this plant with our turkeys. We drink a lot of the juice, and most of it is imported apart from the collection by people. But I think this is a great potential crop for the future. But it won't be a crop for the future unless we do the research, sort out the best plants for harvesting, for production, for ripening, and all of those characteristics need to be worked out before they become a real crop for the future. So that's the work going on here at Pinns Brook and at various other agricultural stations within the province. And I wish them all the best. I'm looking forward to some crops from them. Anyway, we'll be right back. Peggy Dixon believes that ladybugs are a great asset in the garden, and she explains why as she responds to one of our viewers' questions.
I absolutely adore ladybugs. They're awesome. However, I would like to know whether they are good or bad for my plants.
Well, it's great to be asked a question about an insect that everybody actually likes. Most gardeners will be familiar with ladybugs or lady beetles. They're oval or round, brightly colored, shiny. Most of them are red or orange, some are yellow. They all have black spots. And contrary to popular opinion, the number of spots has nothing to do with how old they are. It just tells what species it is. There's about 20 species of lady beetles that are native to Newfoundland and Labrador. You can also buy them from commercial insectaries on the mainland for use in greenhouses, as we have here. Lady beetles are totally beneficial to your greenhouse and in your garden. They eat aphids. The adults eat aphids. They're very voracious predators. And the young ones eat aphids too. Now, even though you may be familiar with the adults, you're probably not as familiar with the young. All ladybugs start life as an egg. Eggs hatch into the larvae, and the larvae go on the hunt for aphids. And as I said, you may not be as familiar with what the larvae look like. But basically, they look like little alligators. They're small, they're black, and they're tapered at one end. They have 6 long legs, and they actively hunt the aphids. One larva can actually eat up to 400 aphids in its lifetime, so they're really beneficial. And it'd be worth your while to have a look in your garden to see if you have them during the summer. The other neat thing sometimes we get asked about lady beetles is sometimes we get a call in January or February, somebody saying, oh, there's lady beetles in my house, why are they there and what are they doing? And that's usually the 2-spotted lady beetle, which is pretty common in the province. And all that they're doing is they would have gone into your house in the fall to find somewhere comfy to spend the winter. And they think it's spring, January, February, and they're just coming out trying to get outside. And that's what they're doing.
Looks like Tim could do with a few ladybugs of his own, but he does have some insect problems, and Debbie's going to explain what to do about them.
Welcome back to the Vegetable Patch. We're here with Tim Murray and checking in on his vegetable garden. How are things this week?
Things are well.
Yeah?
I guess this week we can talk about companion planting. I've heard a bit about it. I don't really know much about it though.
Okay. I guess you're wondering how many companions to bring over to the garden for planting, is that it?
Well, yeah, that would be the best thing, but I don't think it's that.
No, not quite. Companion planting actually refers to putting plants together that help insect or disease control or help the plants grow together. Things like some of the different herbs here that we have brought along help ward off insects. For example, nasturtiums, which is a common Newfoundland flower, you can plant that in among your vegetable patch and it helps to keep other insects from finding the vegetables and attacking the vegetables. Some of the strong scented herbs help to deter insects. They also help, for example, rue helps to keep cats away from the garden. They don't like the strong scent, so that helps keep them from digging in the garden, especially early in the season when you've got the young seedlings, transplants, that the cats can come and pull up on you.
Sure.
Have you heard of any other herbs or anything with regards to the companion planting? What have you heard about it?
There was a connection between rhubarb or beets and radishes, I believe, or potatoes and radishes.
Planting together.
Yeah, planting together to ward off some sort of root fungus or beetle or something.
Okay. Well, there's a couple of good references out there. This is one that I like to use called Roses Love Garlic, that you can sort of check and see what good companion plants would be go together in the garden, what sort of benefits you're going to get from them. For example, apple mint, garden sage, some of the thymes, mix that in among your cabbages and you'll help control all those cabbage moths that you've been having problems with.
Okay.
So you want to try that next year and see how that works for you. I know a lot of people try to use onions or garlic sort of mixed in among your vegetables as well. Again, that strong scent wards off a lot of insects. It may even deter some of the moose, who knows. If you plant onions, either carrots and then onions, or a row of carrots and then a row of onions, that'll deter the carrot rust fly as well.
Okay.
So using the companion plants, mixing them together, that certainly helps a lot of the different insects that you might have. There's a nice chart in this book here. This is the Complete Guide to Gardening. So there's a lot of different tips in this one. Things about what fertilizers to use, what insects to control, what to plant where, when to plant it, spacing, all things that we've talked about so far this season. And there's a nice chart in here talking about different plants to plant together. Again, nasturtiums is mentioned throughout the vegetable patch. Potatoes with the beans.
Okay, yeah.
There you go. Radishes with the cucumbers. Help to deter some beetles. And the rue, again, the rue that we talked about for deterring cats, is also helped to use in the vegetables to deter other insects.
Okay.
All right. So there's lots of different things that you can plant, mix it up in the garden. Maybe even try it in your flower patch. Join us next week in the vegetable patch with Tim, and we'll see what else is happening in the garden. Thank you.
Well, things are looking really good in Tim's garden. Looks like harvest time is not too far away. Next week we're going south, not to Costa Rica, but to St. Shots on the Cape Shore. There we'll have a chat with Pat Hewitt about his sod growing business. He will show us how he and his staff have converted a Newfoundland bog into green, luscious meadows. Housing development on the Avalon has reached an all-time high, and Pat will give us a lesson on preparing the soil before you plant the sods on your property. If it's not done right at the start, you can have a lot of problems down the road. Dr. Peggy Dixon will explain about the different types of flies that often hang around your garden. She'll explain about the damage they can cause and ways to deal with it. Tim is ready to harvest some of his vegetables, and while he harvests, Debbie tells him how to prepare for next year. Before we go, I'd like to say thanks to the people that helped us put this show together. Avis Rent-A-Car and Holiday Inns in Corner Brook helped us with transportation and accommodation. Landscape Newfoundland and Labrador, our non-profit trade association, and the Agricultural Policy Framework, well, without them, there would be no Homegrown. So, thanks to you for watching, and we'll see you next week.